Treksploration.
Hello and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris.
I'm John.
That's right. We got the team back together. We have the man, the Ohio Sigma, Christopher D. Philippus.
Hi, I think we're on a mission from God. We got the band back together.
And we're wearing sunglasses, and it's night. And joining us once again by request is the man with the level 10 yacht, the beautiful John Irons. How you doing, John?
Thank you. Great.
Yeah, go figure. I think he said you had a yacht, so
No,
that's
I
pretty
know
cool.
what he said.
He's basically
All right.
calling you
Go,
Elmer J.
go.
Fudd, right? You have a mention on a yacht.
Consult your Gen Alpha dictionary, but it's
Yes,
mostly
it's
a
all
compliment.
compliments. It's all compliments, I believe. Who knows? All right, tonight we're doing a bonus show. We're talking about Star Trek Prodigy, and we're starting at the beginning with episodes 1 and 2, Lost and Found, Part 1 and Part 2. They aired, original air date was October 28th, 2021. That long ago? Wow. Written by Kevin and
Right,
Dan
isn't that crazy?
Hegman, and directed by
Hageman,
Ben
I think they.
Higeman. Okay. And
Hageman,
directed
I
by Hegeman, I think. And directed by Ben Hibon. Or is it Hiban?
I might say Hibben, like Gibbon.
Hibben.
Oh, Hibben.
I don't. Some people wrote it and some people made it. All right. How you guys doing? I heard you did a little show without me on Oscar night. How did that go? No spoilers. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to know who wins. But tell me a little bit about it.
I will only say that Chris knows a lot about Quantum Leap, and I don't. That's all the spoiler you're getting.
All right.
I still didn't win because I got there. I got there late. So
Oh,
maybe
did ya?
that's a spoiler. I thought you didn't want us to spoil the Oscars.
No, that's fine. I was a little sad that Ariana and Cynthia didn't win, but you know, it is what it is.
It can't be all wicked all the time.
It is here. So,
You know.
what do you do? You did Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast, Quantum Leap Trivia Leap Day Special. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I don't know. It was Leap Day.
It was supposed to be Leap Day-ish because there is no Leap Day this year.
Oh, I didn't even make
Yeah,
that
I didn't
connection.
realize that either. But
But it makes
okay.
sense. That's good.
I wish I was there just to add ridiculous, unimportant commentary.
I wish you were there too, Albie.
Okay, so did they say where you can find that? Should I just link it below eventually?
I guess
Yeah,
I don't even know.
think it's. I think right now it's just for like special members, and the public one will be available in like a week or something.
Okay, yeah. I think I clicked on that and it said you have to be a member. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it that bad, but I definitely want to watch it. I want to see how you guys did. So proud of you. All right, so it's been a while, Chris. What's happened in your life since we talked last?
I started watching the show Evil, and it's really kind of hooked me in. The first like 3 episodes, I was on the fence, and I'm like, do I like this? I don't know if I like this. I kind of like it. I kind of don't like it, but it keeps pulling me back. And by mid-season, I was just like, oh yeah, I got to keep watching this. And right before we got on mic tonight, I finished the first season. So
Ooh, wow,
that's what I've been
David
doing.
Tennant?
David Tennant. No, it's got a bunch of people you've never heard of.
Okay.
Yeah.
was I
The only one that might be recognizable is Ben from Lost, and I always forget his name. He was with the others in
Michael
the hedge.
Emerson, I believe.
Okay. I watched
think
all
it's
of
Mike-
Lost. Which one was Ben? I can't believe I don't remember.
Ben was the bad guy.
Main
Ben
guy?
was the Dorm Initiative guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You know, it's
Also
kinda-
from
So the polar bear.
yes.
also oh man, I can't remember his name. Michael. That's gonna bug me.
Okuda. Michael who? Massimino?
No, but it's the guy who he played Luke Cage on the Netflix. Marvel.
Oh, that's where I've seen him before. I don't think I watched Luke Cage. I think I've seen him as Luke Cage in Jessica Jones once or twice.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Also there.
there you
All
go.
right.
He's
What-
fantastic.
What have you been up to, John?
Michael Coulter. That's his name.
That's it. So do you recommend?
Luke Cage or Evil?
Both.
Luke Cage season 1, yes. Season 2, less so, but still good. I also just started watching Evil, like literally tonight.
Oh, okay.
After I
Are you
finished.
guys in cat boots together?
We are.
Well, it's a
I'm not included just because I missed the Quantum Leap thing.
it's a cyclical thing because I actually said like on our little group chat, on our Infinite Potato group chat, that I was going to start watching it. So Chris beat me to it. But
You
I
guys playing D&D without me. You guys watching Evil together without me. Texting on the phone.
We're also doing a Call of Cthulhu podcast. John's not on that one.
I'm
So
not
John,
on
how
it.
many? So yeah, there's a whole other. I talk about Sean's network all the time. I don't call it Sean's network, but it's Sean, and it's John, and it's Rick, and it's Scott, and it's Neek, and it's Virginia, and it's just like everybody. Tom, don't forget Tom. I got it now. I got to remember everybody. Who else?
Scott.
I think I got it. I said Scott.
You just chose not to hear it. I think I'm the only one that's never invited to anything, but that's fine. I'm okay.
The other Jareds, they're like tangentially, they're like neighbors.
Right. So, but
I am gonna have you on. I am gonna have you on, Albie, on Captain Game Show.
Okay. Hopefully, before I die. Just if you guys fall asleep on the phone FaceTiming each other, I just don't want to know about it. I don't think I could emotionally handle it.
It's okay, Albie. We never fall asleep. But maybe for the benefit of those who might not live on planet Earth and have been under a rock, John, why don't you tell everybody where you hail from and what else you do besides guest occasionally on Treksploration?
That's the main thing, really. So the Infinite Potato Alliance podcast network, people point out to me that I co-founded it with Sean. I always forget that because I think of it as Sean's network too, but I guess we did kind of start together. But it's really Sean's network. He does all the important stuff.
Sean Ray,
the inimitable Sean Ray. I after starting a podcast with him, Cosmic Potato, which is just like fandom geekery, I started my own podcast, Captain Game Show, trivia, wordplay, improv podcast. Chris is a regular guest. Albie is a guest in waiting.
I'm Matt Damon, aren't I? Matt Damon.
Any day now.
Okay. I still love you, John. I still love you. I understand. It might be like I'm not. Maybe potato. I can't have too many carbs. Maybe that's what's going on.
We're coming up on episode 200. So I'm editing episode 199, and then I'll do episode 200. I have all the pieces for that. But then,
so what you're saying is you have 198 other friends.
I'm saying. That
are a little bit ahead of me.
When it's time
actually, there are like 3 people on each show.
that's when the schedule. That's when the booking will start again. So episode 201. Give it a few weeks.
I built it up so much for so many years. I'm just gonna fail miserably my first time on there. Okay,
it's not
so
even
we're talking.
Show, honestly.
We're talking about Star Trek Prodigy.
Yeah. So Albie, we haven't caught up with you. What's going on in the world of Albie Burge?
I got to season 8 of Big Bang.
Oh,
I'm enjoying it.
That's the haircut
Sheldon
season.
just got back from his train trip.
Oh, that's good.
The haircut, the infamous haircut, the Felicity cut. What else? Going to Atlanta soon. Are you anywhere near Atlanta, John? Is DC near Atlanta?
No, I mean globally.
It's in the same time zone.
Yeah, I'll probably won't be back down south until like July, I think. So it'll be a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think a lot has happened. We just been watching movies and TV shows and just chilling.
Cool.
Can't think of anything
that's
happened,
that's suitable for wintertime.
Chilling's good.
Had a little bit of a virus for maybe a week or so. It came from that Febreze can, apparently.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're spraying yourself with Febreze for an hour, 2 hours, almost 3 hours on end. They can't end well.
I was huffing Christmas tree. It happens.
The carcinogens that you must have inhaled during that freaking. No wonder why you wound up in the hospital.
I must have weak lungs or something.
We have to stop talking about our health. We've become like the old men complaining about our health podcast. It's crazy.
Well, as we've heard lately, Star Trek is dying because the younger generation doesn't watch it. Just people our generation and older. So yes, I think we should do ads for like different types of medicine.
Centrum.
Yes, A to zinc. A to zinc. Tonight's podcast, speaking of sponsorship, part of tonight's podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. More about that later. But before we do that, Christopher D. Philippus, can you give us the episode synopsis for Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 1 and 2, Lost and Found.
Lost and Found. We lost our child audience. We're trying to find it with Prodigy. So
with John Irons' level 10 Giat.
Yeah, Giat. Giddy up. Welcome to the Delta Quadrant's scenic. Shall I start again? I stepped on John's joke. I'm sorry, John. What'd you say?
I said Chris doesn't know what that means. Don't make him say it.
I don't know what any of it means. It's okay.
But he knows it's true.
It feels true.
I got Giat for miles. Welcome to the Delta Quadrant's scenic Tars Lamora, where enslaved sentients are forced to mine for glowy magic rocks under the watchful eye of scary robots. But scrappy young prisoner Dahl refuses to be cowed, as he keenly scopes all mining operations with one goal: escape. And he thinks he finally found a way. Cue the elaborate escape sequence that sees Dahl inadvertently run into about every character who will play a part in the series. He gets so close to freedom, but misses it by this much. Cut to the elaborate lair of the series' big bad, the Diviner, who is hanging out in some kind of stasis tube thingy. In attendance are Chief Robot, Dreadnought, and a young woman, Gwendala, whom he calls his progeny. He's like, oh, what do we do with this disruptive kid? And Gwen is all like, let me handle him. He's wily and he gets around, and he may be able to lead us to the mysterious fugitive, Prisoner Zero. The Diviner agrees, and Gwen enlists Dahl. Point of order, Gwen is the only one at the mining operation who speaks multiple languages, including Dahl's. Everyone else otherwise grunts and growls at each other, which seems like a highly inefficient way to run a railroad. But getting back to plot, here's the plan. Dahl will go down into a dangerous region of the mines where he heard Zero was seen, but just as things get underway, he gets chained to a large rock creature who seems none too pleased to tag along. This leads to more cartoonish hijinks, this time involving a big laser drill that causes a cave-in that strands Dahl and his rock buddy in a previously unknown chamber of the mine, chock full of the glowy rocks. And, oh yeah, there's also this massive shiny ship. Dahl and Rock Buddy climb aboard. The ship is apparently deserted, but they find a weird arrowhead-looking bit of bling, and suddenly they can understand each other. Turns out the rock dude is actually a sweet young girl named Rock Talk, and she's all for escaping. What's more, mysterious prisoner Zero also comes aboard and wants out too. Turns out Zero is I knew I was going to screw that up. Turns out Zero is an incorporeal Medusan who the Diviner was using to subdue people's minds. But Zero escaped and built a makeshift mech suit to get around and protect people from his mental whamma-jamma. Next task, find an engineer to fix the ship so they can all amscray. Dahl enlists the help of charmingly belligerent Tellarite, Jenkum Pog, who has the perfect combination of technical know-how and comic timing to help round out the cast. And for some reason, Rock Talk grabs a blobby shmoo-like thing to take along and names it Murph. So our ragtag band on the run gets back to the ship, and that's when Gwendala pops up from out of the shadows as an all like, I have you now. A fight ensues on the bridge as they try to convince Gwen to join them, but when that doesn't work, they take her hostage to gain some leverage. The Diviner, however, is like, nothing doing, punks. This entire mine has just been a front for my real goal to find that ship. No way you're taking it. But Pog gets the ship airborne, a fantastic chase sequence ensues. Dahl has an epic fight on the hull to do the last thing needed to get the ship fully functional, and away they go. The Diviner is all like, find those brats, and those brats are all like, we made it. And just when you think it's over, an emergency training hologram, Catherine Janeway, materializes on the bridge and welcomes this new batch of Starfleet cadets to their training mission on the USS Protostar. To be continued next time, for the first time, on Star Trek Prodigy.
Dun, dun, dun. Wow, that's exciting. I want to watch that show.
I wrote that from memory after having seen that like a week ago. I think, I might have gotten some of the details mixed up, but on the whole, that was pretty much it, right?
No, that was it. I watched it. Yeah. I watched the first one a week ago, and I fell asleep watching the second one a week ago, but I watched the second one earlier today, and all of that sounds right to me. So
Okay.
I watched both of them a few times. I watched both of them tonight again because my memory is not like yours. You know, like when you go into another room and you forget why you went in there? My
I do
whole
that all
life
the
is
time.
like that. Like
Yeah.
my whole life is like that all the time. I'm like, anyway,
Have you
okay. First impressions. Let's start with the beautiful John Irons because he is new to here again, second time.
It's only been the second time?
I think so. Is it? Again, my memory. I don't know why I came in this room.
I liked it. It looks amazing. It's a beautiful piece of animation. And the plot was fine. The characters were fine. The things that I ended up liking less about the series haven't happened yet. So a good job.
Yeah, John, I'm curious to talk to you about what you think of this because I think you're sort of the resident animation go-to guy. For me, anyway. I know that you like a lot of animation and you watch it a lot. So it'd be nice to have someone that can actually put this in a broader context when it comes to current animation, modern animation. So I can't wait to talk about that. Albie, what are your first impressions?
The animation style is, for me, off-putting, not my favorite. It always seems to me like I'm watching like an animatic in a video game, and it just goes on forever. And there's so many things about Prodigy I like, but as a whole, like when I add all those things up I don't like it as much as I feel like I should.
It's funny, yeah. I kind of always feel that way in retrospect. It's so weird that we're doing this the way we're doing it because we've seen the entire series of Prodigy thus far, all of us. So I'm trying to get back to the place that I was the first time I saw this episode and Prodigy was a new thing instead of, having the whole rest of the series sort of not taint, but color the way I'm approaching this now.
Taint.
So, yeah, I remember when I first saw this, like you, Albie, I was a little bit on the fence about the animation. It's just not a style that I'm comfortable with. I like more of a classic animation style. This is all 3D computer animation, which kind of looks cheap to me. I got to be honest with you. But that being said, it didn't take me that long to get over it. And once I got into it, and I had to accept it for what it was instead of what I didn't think it was, or what I thought might be missing from the animation. Once I did that, I think I settled in pretty good, and I found myself liking Prodigy more despite myself. I was really expecting not to like it, for it to be a kid's show, but as this first episode went on, I thought it was a fairly solid first outing. Mm-hmm. So those are my first impressions. But I think before we go any further, we want everybody to come to the Delta Quadrant with us. Reach out, subscribe, like, share. You can comment right here on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@Treksploration. Leave us comments down below. That's how we get the algorithm. That's how people see more of us. That's how we get onto more people's feeds. You can also support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Treksploration. There you'll find different membership tiers. You can hit us up on the gram at Treksploration Pod. You can blue sky us at treksploration.bluesky.social. You can TikTok. You can find us on TikTok. It's tiktok.com/@Treksploration. You can email us what you think of Albie's TikTok dance, treksplorationpod@gmail.com. And you can also send us your manifesto, your fan art, your corn dollies to P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York 11705. That's P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York 11705. If you have that cool laser drill, I'll take that as well. Buy me a coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Treksploration. That's one way that you can support us if you just want to do a one-time thing. And Albie, you still making these shorts? I noticed that sometimes I'm going down my feed and there's like 30 seconds of us talking about nonsense.
I am. I took some time off with the whole virus thing and the not being able to breathe or stay conscious. But other than that, yeah.
I mean, hey, it happens, I guess.
Back to work.
It happens to the best of us and to you as well. Special thanks to our lifetime member, the Omnipotent Willard. Thank you, Willard, for all you bring to this show. And we'd also like to thank our crew of intrepid Treksplorers. They include our $5 member, Cadet Listen Linda, our $17.01 members. You get that 1701. Those are Lieutenant Commander Scott Seligman and Cosplay Dad, and our captain, the illustrious Captain Charles from Texas. Thanks everybody who is also following us on Patreon for free, as well as those of you who are liking and subscribing to us here on YouTube. Remember, send us your photos so we can put them in the credits. There's a really, really cute picture of Penelope in the credits. You got to see it. So stick around for that. And Albie made this theme song, this outro. It's like 35 minutes long. It's just
it's pretty long. I'm hoping to get more photos so we don't have to roll them so slow just to get the whole song in. Like a 70s disco jam. With some funk in there.
We want to photos. Does it have to do with Star Trek? Does it have to be Star Trek themed?
The picture? No. Yeah. Just send us stuff.
All right.
Yeah. Of course, if it's X-rated, I'll blur it out. But I'll still put it on there.
There you go. Wow. You just opened up a can of worms, my friend.
I did. You never know what'll be in my inbox.
So yeah, this is normally where we talk about new subscribers and feedback. But since this is sort of a bonus show, I'd like to save the feedback for the next main recording when we do TNG, because it's going to be about TNG. So also, I was too lazy to look for feedback. I didn't have much time, and I didn't want to be too late onto the mic. So
well, yeah, a little bit of a State of the Union. We're doing pretty good as a podcast. We've got over 1 million subscribers now. So
wow!
Good. Yeah. But we're trying. So every subscription helps. So subscribe, please, down below.
Yes, 1 million subscribers. In what universe?
Facts don't have to be true anymore. Okay, let's see.
I was so you've only been going for like a couple. Wow, that's crazy.
172 million. It's all the same if you're looking in the billions. Right?
That's true. On a cosmic scale.
Yeah, on a cosmic scale. I mean, all right. Yeah. This episode, it's weird because for me, it's like Dal is in a comedy show. And he's like running around a drama episode. It's just a weird feeling, and I don't know what it is that I'm watching when I watch these first couple episodes. I came to love the series towards the end and everything, and the final part of the final season. Like I couldn't wait to watch the next episode. But for right now, I'm just like, if this wasn't Star Trek, would I keep watching it? Is that a weird feeling or what? I don't know.
No, I think that's probably where most people are. Do you watch like? I think the answer is no. I'm just gonna. I think no. You wouldn't be watching it. No. I might watch it, but I wouldn't have watched the whole first season because again, not to jump ahead, but you see kind of hints of Dahl being obnoxious, but he's not really obnoxious here, not yet. Anyway, he's irreverent, but that's fine. And he does, kind of quip through everything in the serious moments, but that's fine because he's clever and all that. So he's charming enough to pull it off. I didn't have an issue with any of the characters. I didn't have an issue with the plot. I liked all the characters actually. And as far as why Murph was there, Rock Talk thought it would be interesting to see what this slime creature had to say. So she's like, "Hey, come to the translator and let's see what kind of personality you have." And it just didn't work for him. Like,
yeah, that was funny. I always wondered about that. Murph was like a dog, I guess, or a pet. Like I always wondered how that worked with universal translators, like on Earth in the 24th century. Do you understand your dog, and do they understand you?
I don't know.
It's funny you say that.
Just not Murph.
Last night I just watched Dog Dean Afternoon, which is a season 9 episode of Supernatural where Dean can understand animals. So,
oh wow,
maybe it would have been like that. I don't know.
Very
the
cool.
German Shepherd had a Brooklyn accent for some reason. Don't ask me why. But yeah, it's John. I as I alluded to up top, I really want to know if you can maybe give a little bit of a pedigree for the types of animation that you watch and where you think Prodigy fits into the current animation environment, even though it's a little old now. And that might be a big question. Like that might be a much bigger question than I'm anticipating. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
well, no, it's not so much about putting me on the spot like I haven't prepared or anything. It's just I don't know if I can answer in a way that would work for you because like I try to I have an art background, so I I'm hesitant kind of to say this looks good, this looks bad, more as less so than like this works or this doesn't work, or this works or doesn't work for me.
mm-hmm.
So like Ren and Stimpy, and
You idiot.
Transformers, and Dragon Ball Z all look very different, but they all work for what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, okay, I guess I would say empirically for me, the art looks good, the animation looks good, like the way the characters move, the backgrounds, the character design. Even though like it is more cartoony, I guess, more like a kid's cartoon, in that like they got the big eyes and they got the big heads, and they're cute. Even the troll looking, was it Nausicaan? Is that what he is?
Jacob Pog?
No,
Pog.
he's a Tellarite.
Tellarite. And he's kind of he's kind of like a cute troll. Right?
Yeah.
And the Rocket Girl's kind of cute. Like everything's kind of cute because it's a cute world as a kid's show. But like, the Dreadnought looks good. Like he turned his hands into a big gun. That was cool.
Yeah.
Like the ship looks good. It's not photorealistic. Janeway doesn't look, she looks like an animated Janeway, but I guess I like the animation more than I like the art because it's not super 100% my style taste either, but I do think it works for what they're doing.
Yeah, if I
like
can put that,
like you can see, like there's lots of little details that I think show a high quality.
I okay, and for me that always comes down to like it always comes back down to opera for me. If it's not Star Trek, it's opera. But there are operas that I think that are objectively like the music is it terrible? Well, that's a matter of taste. Do I like it? No. But does the production work? Does the story work? Does it come through and deliver what it intended to deliver? And that's when I'm not digging like the music so much. I try to embrace all of the other aspects to approach it on its terms. And I feel like that's what you're doing here with Prodigy, so that you could give it a fair shake. Again, I said that up top too. It's just like I had to divorce myself from what I thought it was and what I thought it wasn't, and just immerse myself into what I was seeing. And I'll be frank. I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, oh, they're trying to rip off all of the bad Star Wars cartoons that were so popular in the 2000s or the 2010s, I guess. I don't even know. I just remember my nephew used to watch them. And
Clone Wars.
They looked awful to me. I was just like, oh, but he seemed to enjoy them. Albie, it goes back to what you were saying. Is Star Trek dying? The kids aren't watching it. So how do we get new eyes to Star Trek? Well, let's do a blatant ripoff of the Clone Wars because the kids seem to like that, right? And I'm not even saying like story-wise. I just mean the look of it. I'm thinking that if you liked the Clone Wars, if you like that, this will at least turn your head enough to maybe where you'll give it a shot.
Are kids watching that, or is it people our age again that are Star Wars nerds instead of Star Trek nerds?
I'm not really sure. John, you have the kids. I mean, did they watch Clone Wars?
All right, well, don't tell anybody, but my kids don't actually love sci-fi that much.
Oh
no!
Do you feel like a failure?
Well, you know what? They could both do the robot before they learn the ABCs, so I feel
that's really good.
I feel pretty good about it. Let me ask you, Chris. Do you feel now that you've seen the whole series and you've seen all of Lower Decks, do you think that's kind of maybe softened your perspective of animation in Star Trek?
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of problems with Lower Decks, as I've said, time and time again on the show. But I've come to have an affection for it, and if there was more Lower Decks, I would certainly watch it. Same thing with Prodigy. As a matter of fact, there were certain points in the series as it progressed where I was actually very invested in a lot of the stuff, and I felt like Prodigy did a heck of a better job of like character building and character introduction, and making you care about his characters so much more than Picard did. I mean, Picard season 1 and 2, the character work was just abysmal. And I'm watching Prodigy saying, why couldn't Picard do it this well? And this is a kid's show. And so a lot of the strokes here are very broad by necessity, because you have Murph in to get the 6-year-olds in. So you have to make something that any age, from, toddler to, you would hope, tween, could be engaged in it on some level. And even giving it that grain of salt, I found things that I really appreciated about it. Not I appreciated it for Prodigy for what it was trying to do, but that I genuinely appreciated about it. There's some villains come back that I think are creepy for the first time in decades. There are just character beats that I thought were really very good. And of course, some guest stars in the later episodes of the series that tie a lot of Star Trek things back together. So it started to work for me on a much deeper Star Trek level as it went on. And even though some of the characters, well, one of the characters I found annoying pretty consistently throughout. How'd you know?
Just a guess.
Yeah, but I still, it wasn't enough to make me just roll my eyes and turn it off.
It's weird for a kid's show to have such a slow burn on everything. But it really pays off towards the end of season 2, beginning of season 2. By then, everything's really going. But I couldn't imagine that it's said to be made for a kid's audience, and it's still like for Nickelodeon and such. I think it first aired before it aired on, was it Paramount Plus? Later, after it aired on Nickelodeon. But I don't think, like when I was a kid, I don't think I'd be able to comprehend that much of a slow story, serialized story, maybe.
Well, I think that's just how stories are now. Like like my kids don't have an issue with it at all. Like, what is it? One Piece is like, I don't know, like 1,000, like almost 2,000 episodes, and a lot of it is serialized. Most of it is serialized, so that's just they're wired to do that. Their shows don't reset every episode. At least a lot of them don't. Most of them don't.
I think I was thinking Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, and it's not like that anymore. It's like, what series am I going to binge next? So maybe that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore. And it's funny because I was thinking Saturday morning cartoons. And of course, I'm comparing this subconsciously and consciously, of course, to TAS. And I'm thinking about how I sat through the animated series when I was a kid. And by all rights, I probably shouldn't have. Like, a lot of those episodes were just either so hokey or just not interesting in a Saturday morning 70s cartoon kind of way. It was very much a comparatively staid production, a lot of bad music, a lot of weird and cheap animation, bad character design for the aliens, but I still sat through it because it was on. Do kids have that now? We really, we had the 3 channels, so you had a little bit of a limited option.
The wooden TV, the wooden and glass TV.
Yeah, right? So, but it's funny, John, you say that, but I mean, we did it because was there much of a choice? Probably not. You're saying they do it, but they're now in tune with a whole streaming serialized environment. So even if something we don't think it would, when we think back to what cartoons were when we were that age that this is supposed to reach, this is nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm saying like, I watched, and I'll still watch because they're streaming all the time, or they'll play them all the time. I'll still watch, Transformers cartoon from the 80s, or what else? Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from the 80s, and and I still enjoy them, but it's definitely some episodes more than others, some series more than others, and I'm like, yeah, this is dumb. This is dumb. But I watched it because, well, I like Transformers, and there's Transformers, so I'm watching this. Pretty much the reason you watched Prodigy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's changed.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I guess I didn't notice it the first time I was watching because I was so busy overanalyzing everything as you do when you're a podcaster and you're me. Can't get out of your own head, but
can't get you out of my head.
The one thing that stood out to me besides Albie's adoration was the fact that this had a lot more actiony set pieces than I remembered. I mean, about a good half of this was some kind of chase sequence or another, and I thought that they were actually pretty well put together. They were exciting enough to give you, I guess, a narrative through line instead of just being frenetic fight scenes or jumbly, just motion for the sake of motion. Discovery.
Section 31.
Yeah. So I think that maybe that's another way that they could help bring in somebody that might have a little bit less of an attention span for this longer burn story. At least you're getting exciting pieces in the moment on each episode.
That was another thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the animation. Just the way that the direction of the episodes is really good. Like the way they would position the camera, like the angles, like they do close ups. Like it was like well directed episodes. Like they framed the shots really well, and I kind of elevated it a little bit too.
Ben Haban.
Good job, Ben.
Good job, Ben.
It's weird. I was following the production because I was excited for this series to come out, and I was like excited for a new season, new episodes. And from what I understand, it just took them forever to do each episode. Where like Prodigy was, Lower Decks was much quicker turnaround because we got so many more seasons of Lower Decks in the same basically amount of time as we did the 2 seasons of Prodigy. Is that because of the animation style, you think, or just?
I think that might be part of it. I think there was like legal stuff going on when it was, they didn't know, if it was coming back or if it was coming back, where it was going. But yeah, like Lower Decks is definitely a simpler animation to, obviously I'm not behind the scenes, but like, the character, like the way the characters look and move is, far less involved than the 3D animation of Prodigy.
That's interesting. And also, when you think about it, Albie, didn't this series have like 20 episodes per season? There was there's a 10 episode first half, 10 episode back half.
Yeah, so it's almost like 4 seasons, right?
Yeah, there's like 40 episodes of Prodigy. There's more episodes of Prodigy than there is of like Picard.
Oh yeah.
Total series, and they only had two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's another.
But it also
byproduct.
How long was the break between season 1 part 1 and season 1 part 2? It was like
almost 2
years, right?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I know I had to rewatch the previous episodes before I watched the new ones, so it had to be a while.
And I'm trying to figure out, I guess maybe this also has to do with the fact that it was co-produced to air on Nickelodeon. Maybe there's a model on Nickelodeon that requires that many episodes for different things. I'm not really sure because I haven't seen Nickelodeon since you can't do that on television. So
Kevin Ilyanovich, Rasputin Kubacheski.
That's right. We should all meet at Barth's after this.
I don't know. Barth's. Yeah.
I love that show.
It was a great show.
It was such a great show.
Such a great show.
Who didn't have a crush on Moose?
Oh, everybody.
Right? Come on.
Canadians, they're hot. John, are you Canadian?
I am not. Is that a metaphor?
I'm not sure. What is a metaphor?
Albie's like, do you want it to be?
No, I actually, there was a girl in my grade school, a girl in my class who reminded me of her. And I guess I can probably now say that I had a crush on her. 40-something years later.
First name only, just in case you guys reunite.
I can't.
Her first name was Christine. And so
Her name was Rachel.
Oh, yeah. I was in love with a Rachel once. She was the best.
Rachel from your elementary school. I remember her.
Yeah, yeah. Gorgeous. Much like Chris, once I got out of my own way, not liking the animation, I really got into it and it seemed more real, but it took me a while. I don't know why.
Again, I think it's just that question of expectation. And also when you think about how diametrically opposed this is in style and tone to Lower Decks, it's yet another way that Star Trek is staking its claim in a different kind of, even though they're all animation. The animated series was just the original series continued in half-hour format, with, you know, like deep science fictional concepts. And say what you will about the way it was executed and the way the animation was just so damn cheap, there are still a lot of really interesting ideas going on in the animated series. Then you get to Lower Decks, which is 10 times more cartoony, much better produced, but it just wants to be like a workplace comedy, sort of, you know? So you're going to get a different tone with that. Here we go with Prodigy. You think that they would go back to the well because Lower Decks was such a hit. They do a completely different type of animation and a completely different type of voice acting. That's one thing that I like about Prodigy so much more than I like about Lower Decks. I've been critical of Lower Decks, saying all the dialogue on that is very shouty. It's very animated. Duh. But I feel like you guys just tell me if you think I'm right on this. I feel like the reason that, even though it's a kid's show, even though it's an adventure show, the reason that Prodigy seems so much more down to earth is because one of the central characters is Janeway. And you're not going to have Kate Mulgrew coming on doing a parody of Kate Mulgrew doing Janeway. If you're going to have Janeway, you have to have sort of the Voyager version of Janeway.
I don't agree.
You don't agree? Well, so tell me why. I mean, that to me is the reason why maybe this is so much more grounded seeming to me, because Kate is such a solid presence.
I mean, I get that, but I think it's just, the nature of the shows is different, because there's all sorts of real established, legacy Star Trek characters on Lower Decks too. They just are goofy incarnations. And if Janeway came on Lower Decks, she'd be a goofy incarnation of Janeway. I can't remember if she did or not, but I think it's just the show is different. I think this, and you say it's a kid's show, but it is also in many ways more mature than the goofy, well, I was about to say, it's just a different level of poop joke. They both doing their poop jokes. But one is a poop joke that your child can hear, and one is not. The other is more suggestive.
I think where I find the dividing line there, John, is that, if Mulgrew had done Lower Decks, she might have been a goofier, more wild version of Janeway, but that would have been a one-shot. This, you have an entire series that's basically grounded around hologram Janeway and eventually Janeway. So I just feel like the tone has to be somewhat different. The approach has to be somewhat different to accommodate that talent.
Well, and there's also, I think it's good to have the contrast of, because again, kid show, it is a goofy kid show, and Dahl can be silly, and Murph and Jankum can be, goofy comic relief. So it's good to have, Janeway as like the quote unquote straight man, and wow, I forgot the girl's name.
Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, Gwen Stacy. Like, you need to have those level-headed characters for the goofy characters to play off of.
For me, Mulgrew, Janeway, she's like the name, I think, to get our generation to watch it, because there's not all Star Trek fans, I think, are like completist, hardcore, must watch every Star Trek episode. I mean, there's a lot of us, but there's probably also like a level of probably most Star Trek fans are just casual fans. Should I check it out or not? Yeah,
We have one on the panel tonight.
so we might have. So I think Janeway serves a couple purposes. One is to get those casual fans to check it out because they heard Kate Mulgrew's on it and Janeway's on it, but also they're using this as like a gateway drug for Star Trek to get kids into Star Trek, hopefully, and go back and watch the back catalog. So a kid, maybe like an older kid, but still young, that is seeing this as their first Star Trek, and they see Janeway and they eventually see Chakotay and different things from Voyager, that might pique their interest if they're browsing through and they see those characters on thumbnails on a streaming service.
Yeah, I feel like I want to get into this a little bit because I am the person on the show tonight that has the least stake in Voyager. I'm not a Voyager fan. I haven't watched much of it. And I know, Albie, we've discussed this. Voyager is sort of where you live. That's your sweet spot. You love Voyager. So
Love Voyager.
And John, I know that you are fond of Voyager as well. I know that you know it far better than I do anyway.
I think I probably know it better than you do,
Yeah.
but I think I watched the first 2, maybe 3 seasons, and I never really finished. And then I watched the finale just because I was like, "Hey, well, how did this?"
4 on or better, 7 of 9.
But I just have to know. I mean, this being a legacy series that's or not a legacy series, but a series that picks up with legacy characters and is for many in many respects a Voyager continuation, a Voyager sequel. How did that grab you? Did you have a special level of excitement because of that, Albie?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think I had heard rumors of Robert Beltran being involved, but I knew Janeway was there, and so I knew this is going to have something to do with Voyager. And even if it didn't, just hearing Kate Mulgrew's voice and having her on the show made me very excited to watch it. I think that's maybe why at first my first impression was a little disappointment, because I didn't really enjoy the show until I got used to it and I understood what it was.
They're saying until Janeway showed up. I'm like, well, that's like the last minute of the show.
the last 30 seconds. I know it. Should we have watched the first 4? I don't know. It seemed like 1 and 2 together seemed almost like half a pilot.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think the first 3 or 4 do make kind of like a little premiere movie. I think.
Okay.
But it's been so long since I've seen them. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Janeway does show up at the end of the second episode, Albie, was that a squee moment for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I knew it was on. I was like Cartman running around going, "It's on!" Like that's when I popped. Everything else until then was like, I don't know if I want to vomit or smile.
Wow.
Like, it was a weird feeling.
Okay, I think that you're being a little more circumspect than you were letting on, because it sounds to me like you're going down the disco road with this.
I remember, yeah. Well, I was probably still hurt by disco at the time, and being hurt currently by disco. So I was excited for something new and something different, and it had Kate Mulgrew. So I was like, I think I had my expectations. So that was an Albie problem. I brought a lot of expectations to what it was going to be. And I think until probably the last half of the second episode, remember watching it, it was just like I was disappointed a lot. Like it wasn't for me, and I wanted it to be for me. But eventually it was for me. Eventually I got there.
And this was before Lower Decks, right?
I want to say the same time. I remember both being announced, and I don't know. Remember? Do you remember, Chris?
I don't have a memory like
first?
that. To me, everything blends in.
I feel pretty. I could be wrong, but I thought that Prodigy came out before Lower Decks, because that was the big thing. It's like, oh, it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon. It's animated. It's for kids. Oh, it's animated. It's for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Lower Decks came, it's like, okay, it's not the first animated series, but it's not for kids.
Okay.
Like,
I'm fairly positive Lower Decks was first, but it's the comments on it down below.
Yeah, that's where the saying comes from. Which came first, Lower Decks or Prodigy?
I mean, it's just it's that endless question.
It's so easy. Just give me a second.
Now, what this is there, you could do that research. That's awesome. Yeah, we don't have the omnipotent Willard with us tonight because we're doing a weird off bonus thing on a weird random time. that we just did. Now this is a pilot for a new series, and what we usually do is we go through the characters. Did you want to go through the characters?
Yeah, I mean that'd be good, and then maybe maybe that'd be more for final thoughts, because I do have larger questions, larger Voyager questions. I think Albie wants to go through the characters. We've been going for about an hour now. Do we want to take a break, or and then come back with the characters? How do you want to do it?
That sounds great. This is a good place to put a break in, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about our sponsor, and we'll talk about the characters and more about the episode and Star Trek Prodigy in general. So for Chris, John, and myself, we'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie, and I'm here with Christopher D. Philippus and the beautiful John Irons. How you guys doing? How was your break?
It was great.
It was a much needed respite from me talking.
Thank you, everybody watching along at home and watching those commercials. And speaking of commercials, we have a sponsor this week. It is Squarespace. Last week, our sponsor was Opera. That seemed to have an effect on me. I've been listening to a lot of Opera lately. Squarespace. Are you ever in a room that seems way too long and like way too narrow? That's kind of like claustrophobic, right? Or you're in those rooms that are round and they're just oval and there's no real edges, which I think is like rich people do that so they don't stub their toes on the corners of rooms or something like that. But it's hard for me to find my orientation. So are round rooms and rectangular rooms just weird? Try Squarespace. Chris, talk about our sponsor.
Our sponsor is very equilateral, equidistance, very, very rigid. You can cube them and still be in a nice square space. So they got that going on as well. And I feel like now I'll never look at my family room the same again, because it's going to be a harrowing experience. You know how long and narrow my family room is.
It is long and narrow.
Right? So, I mean, we could have used Squarespace. Where were we then? If only we had known about Squarespace then, the time that you could have had. And I want to personally apologize to you and your daughter for the time you spent in that rectangular room. I'm ashamed, quite frankly.
John, Squarespace?
You know what's good about Squarespace? Is all of the sides are equal. Mm-hmm. And yeah, all the angles are equal too, but you know, everyone's looking for the angles, but it's more important that we're all on the same side.
Yes, they all are 90-degree angles, right? And it has to be equal sides.
Equal sides, angles.
What's the formula for finding the area or volume of a rectangular prism?
Just multiply.
Yeah, by itself, by each side, right?
Yep. 18.
All right. What if it's a pyramid or a pyramid?
That's more complicated.
That's not a square space, though.
Yeah.
No, that's why Squarespace is much more important, because it's just easier on all of us. Because who wants to measure the height of something and then multiply it by itself and then divide it in half before you add on the square space of the bottom of the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Squarespace, thank you for sponsoring this episode.
All them,
I think before
all them angles, all them straight edges for all you Herberts out there.
Exactly, Herbert.
I don't know if you actually Squarespace is a sponsor or not, but I will say like I've used them and it's great. it is actually my favorite service to build a website on.
I have no idea what you speak of. So before our break, we talked about maybe going through the characters. Would you want to go through them like with 3D visual aids?
Yeah. Okay.
Of some sort. What is this character's name?
It's Gwendala.
Gwendala,
played by Ella Purnell.
The Prodigy. What did you think of her character? Because I guess her and Dal are kind of the main characters. I don't know.
I think they become the main character. I think in these two episodes, Dal is definitely the main character.
Okay, yeah. I like Dal's voice. He's got a good voice. They all have great voices. Gwendolyn. John Noble's daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Or clone. How did that end up working out?
The progeny.
Yeah, I feel like she's a clone.
I think she's a clone. And you were both right. Lower Decks came first.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. So thank God we settled that.
Yes.
So many people breathe a sigh of relief out there. But yeah, I think that Gwen was a good character. I I feel like Gwen was supposed to be the one to anchor in maybe the older viewers because she has a certain maturity about her. And even though you have Doll showing off and being the center of attention most times, Gwen is almost like a mini Janeway. She's got a lot of like a center. She brings a center to the proceedings. How's that? Because Janeway can't leave the ship. So plus she's a badass fighter. So yeah,
she's a badass fighter. She's super smart, and she's also at least as far as these 2 episodes, she's the only one who has like an internal character. You know, who's not just, no pun intended, 2-dimensional, whatever they are. And, you know, as the show goes on, you learn more about the other characters. You learn there's more going on. But she's the only one who seems to have any kind of internal conflict about anything.
Can I, and this is just going to be, you know, this middle-aged guy coming out, but it felt to me like Gwen was especially there to hopefully attract like younger girls, like, you know, 12 to 13-year-old girls. And the reason that she had all that drama is because that is what might attract that demographic to the show. Albie, you have a girl that's around that age. Did the angst appeal to Rennie? I guess we never even asked. I mean, you have a kid too.
I was going to ask if you guys watch a lot of...
We watched all of Prodigy together.
Do you watch like kids shows, or do you just watch sci-fi stuff?
Oh yeah, well, I just watch what she watches because I'm just happy to hang out with her. So I'm not going to force her to watch something that she doesn't want to watch. She was excited for this because it was a kid's show. And when did this come out? 21, and she's 12 now.
20.
So there's some math there, but she was younger. She did like Gwendolyn. But her big thing was Murph. So she was probably a little bit too young for the angst, but she's got all the angst now because she's 12. So maybe if she rewatches, she'll identify more with Gwendolyn.
I thought the little cat girl was going to be more of a...
Yeah.
Like they made a big deal about her coming onto and Gwen like bonding with her.
Yeah.
And then she was out of there, man. That was it.
Yeah, the cat girl was like the red coat in Schindler's List. I mean, it's to show the inhumanity, you know, to personalize it somehow, so that you can get your mind around this massive injustice. So the massive
girl in the
injustice
red coat
of the mining colony. Yeah.
That's why I stopped watching Schindler's List and then never finished it. I was like, nope, I'm out. Threw the remote, took the disc out. Never put it back in.
I mean, and I'm not, I'm not being flippant about the girl in the red coat. I thought that was a very effective way to humanize something that is almost incomprehensible in its scope and its horror.
It was too much. I couldn't handle it.
And I felt like the little cat creature was a way to say, wait a minute, this is not a good situation. This is not all fun in the mines. This is people being bought and sold and enslaved, and there are children here that are in danger. So again, this is a kid show.
Yeah, but it also Gwen stands up to it, and while she does accept the little cat girl, she says, "Don't ever bring anybody this young again." So it shows that she's got a higher moral compass than.
So Schindler's List, again, because she is on the bad side, but not a bad person, and this is kind of like a shorthand for it.
Well, I don't know about, I think the Schindler's List analogy is falling apart now.
I didn't finish
I ever brought it up. So
I didn't finish the movie. I didn't finish the movie.
Let us hope that's the first time that Star Trek Prodigy and Schindler's List, wherever.
But Gwen seemed like a good person in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the good beat of the story. That little cat.
I never considered this up until now. Do you think that Gwen's empathy, her comparative empathy anyway, comes from the fact that she was able to communicate with people, whereas nobody was even interested in communicating with people? Was that a subtle lesson there? When you get to learn to know people, you get to throw off any kind of preconceived prejudices that you have.
That is very Star Trek.
Yeah, I never even once put that together.
But yeah, I mean, I think the not being able to communicate was, very intentional by the diviner and the bots, so that exactly what happened wouldn't happen. So they can't form a plan
Mhm.
You know,
They
they
couldn't
can't
organize.
team up
Yeah.
if they can't communicate.
Yeah, isn't that the Duolingo thing? Is that they want the world to be a better place, so people communicate and understand each other more?
That's our sponsor for next week.
Possibly,
Sounds good.
possibly. I have another one here. What's this one?
We got a little bit of a glare.
Is that Doll?
That's Doll. Doll.
Oh, it's Doll and Murph.
Oh, Doll.
Yep, Murph's in this one too, so it's a twofer.
If you're gonna, John. I know you had some pretty strong opinions about Doll in the shows that we did together on Infinite Potato, on Cosmic Potato.
You guys are doing so much without me.
That Star Trek podcast. Yeah, it's not the first time John and I have been discussing Prodigy, and yeah, they went through the entire series over on that Star Trek podcast. So,
but I mean, here he was fine. Like the things that I like about Doll were on display more here, and the things that I don't like about Doll haven't shown up so much. Like, I like that he's clever. I like that he's smart. I like he's clever and he's smart, because he does come up with like good plans. He's a little reckless, but that's fine. And he's not as charming as he thinks he is, so that's fine, because because he's a teenager and that's how they are. Later, I feel like they just lean into him being obnoxious and self-centered and goofy and reckless. And I don't care to see that. But here, just taking these 2 episodes, he did fine. Like, there's a reason that, Rock Talk connects with him, aside from the fact that they're chained together. Like, she does, like, want to help him. There's a reason that he can talk Gwen into stuff. It's not because Gwen is stupid. It's because he connects with her. There's a reason that he's like, okay, well, maybe I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this, but I feel like I could be the captain. And because he knows inherently that's kind of his gift, is like he comes up with plans and he connects with people. That's captain's job, right?
You're the resident captain.
Yeah.
Captain Game Show.
Disappointed. Just like Doll, I just named myself captain. Who's going to stop me?
We all respect it.
Yeah. I like that Murph, they're about to get killed. They're losing. And they've got 1 second, and Murph just happens to find the button that hits the phasers that blast the things. And you don't know, because he plops down on it. Oh, was that an accident or was it on purpose? Because we can't communicate, we don't know how sentient or intelligent this creature actually is. I like that little mystery at the end of that's still a mystery at the end of this episode. So, yeah.
That would have been a good reveal, like at the end of the series, that Murph was like the most intelligent the whole time. It just the translator didn't understand it.
In my head canon, that's how it is.
Okay, cool. I liked Murph. I like Murph more before they anthropomorphized him. I didn't quite like that, where it's like just made it like like an anime looking blob instead of
it kind of looked like
slime blob.
It looked like a Teletubby almost.
Yeah, something. It was just off-putting
with that diamond thing above its head, or I don't know.
But I don't know what the plan was eventually to like slowly morph him into a humanoid looking thing.
Yeah. So is Prodigy just done? Does Netflix officially canceled it?
It's canceled, but I think it for a while weren't we all in that like hopeful maybe stage? But I think we're past that now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow it. That's why I was
with all of the cancellations and
I feel like
the lack of Paramount wanting to do Star Trek.
Yeah, the streaming environment. Well, Paramount got rid of it, and they even took it off the platform because I was looking for it on Paramount like an idiot, and then I found it on Netflix.
Same,
because Netflix did the second season.
Yeah, and Netflix had the second season, right? Paramount didn't. But it's still a Nickelodeon show, so they were talking about shopping it around, maybe getting a third season off of Paramount Plus onto another streaming network. But I think even that was before the writer's strike when they were talking about that stuff. And in the interim, so much has changed.
That changed
in the streaming world. They're not just doing stuff to do it anymore. Not much anyway.
Dal, what do you think about Dal, Chris?
Dal is the most thankless character on the show. I understand what John is saying, but If there's a character that can consistently annoy me on Prodigy, it's Dahl, because of everything John just mentioned. He's just a dumb, reckless teenager who, just because he thinks something should be some way, then he just assumes that it's right because that's what he wants. Mm-hmm. I know that in many ways he's supposed to be sort of like the surrogate fun guy. It's like when you watch these 80s movies and the heroes are supposed to be like these hip assholes, to just be blunt, and you look at them now and you're just like, oh my god, who could like that jerk? And I feel like they're trying to give Dahl that kind of vibe, that irreverent, hey, I'm just gonna, wing my way through it and it's all gonna come out right in the end, and who cares if it makes any sense logically. And this is my Star Trek bias coming out, and part of the reason why a lot of the new Star Trek turns me off sometimes. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of meritocracy going on here. It's just somebody stumbling their way through something and somehow it working out in the end, which is fine. It's a kid's show. Mm-hmm. I don't know that you need to have that Starfleet ideal, especially here. These literally are ragtag people who've never heard of Starfleet before. So if you're ever going to do it, it actually works best here because you don't have that model for them to follow. They come to learn that model as the series goes on, as they get to know Janeway, as they get to know that there is a Federation. Some of them try to emulate that, but that being considered, and yeah, I give them that. I'm still, at the end of the day, more annoyed by Dahl than any other character.
Dahl I saw some of myself in here, because I don't know about your guys' development, but there was a time in my life where I thought every possibility was possible, and I thought I was immortal, and I was just having fun, riding the wave of life. And sure. I think that's where we meet him in this episode.
I think he's trying to escape a desperate situation. I don't know that he's having fun riding the wave of life.
he seemed to be having fun the whole time, I think, or maybe he's just being snarky. I don't know.
I think that's his snarky persona, that I've got it all under control kind of moxie.
That false confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not sure. Rock Talk. I don't have a Rock Talk action figure, so what about Rock Talk? I like the reveal that
hold up the thing. Got a thing.
The big
got a Ben Grimm.
I like the idea that we were thinking it was a big guy and tough just because of the shape of her, but turned out to be like a kind little girl that was very smart. What do you think about Rock
Talk? Me?
Yeah,
you go first.
Yeah,
I mean, Rock Talk's fine. I like
okay, John.
All right, I guess I'll go.
I'm sorry. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still like a kiddie show, so I'm not going to have a hell of a lot to say about every character. I mean, I have a lot to say about Dahl because he annoys me. But, Rock Talk doesn't annoy me. Rock Talk has her moments. And she's fine.
Yeah, based on these two episodes, she's fine. I really like her character development over the course of the series, where like you said, okay, she's like you think, because it's got a deep voice. Like before the translator, there's a deep voice, and big thing you think it's a big hulky guy, and it's actually a little girl, and it's like, oh, it's a little girl who's big and hulky, but then like and she's like a super genius. That was a nice twist. She becomes a science officer. I really liked that. That they, again, like, I know we're talking about the whole series, but like that the other characters and eventually Dahl do like evolve and change and develop. I would have liked to see, maybe another season or two just to see where we go with it. And I also feel like the show itself was kind of finding its footing in terms of how to still appeal to kids, but also tell a good story, a good long-term story.
I like Rock Talk for one reason, I think, because our society is kind of messed up. You probably know that, but like us as guys, we're only valued if we're over 6 feet, and we take up as much space as possible. and the six figures and all the sixes. But for a lot of women or girls, they're valued by how less of space they take up, how small they are. And there's so many, we're the same species, men and women. It's so hard to have a small woman and a large man and that only thing. So there's got to be so many girls out there that are bigger than even if they aren't, and maybe body dysmorphia, but they feel bigger than they should be because of society's pressures. And I think this is a good character to have on there for that purpose, for girls who feel like maybe they're bigger than they should be, but it shows that they're kind and intelligent, and there's many more things to offer than some stereotypes that people are trying to put them in.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly deeper than I just thought it was kind of a one-off joke at first. So, yeah. But I think that's a good analysis. If you're going to look for archetypes that might appeal to different audience members out there, I think that's dead on for Rock Talk.
Cool. Who else is next in the pile? What do we got here?
Can't glare. There's a glare on your screen, sir.
Glare.
That's
Still
zero.
glare? Is that zero?
I think
Yes,
it's zero.
0.
Okay.
0.
So
A Medusan.
yeah, cool. I like 0.
I like incorporeal life forms, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, I like the non-binary incorporealness of 0. I like that Dahl uses Zero's telepathy like strategically. That was really good. How did he build? I'm sorry. How did Zero build a suit? Are they telekinetic? How did they build a suit?
Could it be, since they have the mind control powers, which I think is new for Prodigy? I think that the way that the Medusans were introduced on the original series was that they were so hideously ugly that to look at them meant madness, and you had to look at them with these red visors on, with these goggles. And now they have this I guess conceit here that they're also somehow able to do mind control. I think that there is a precedence though, because the Medusan ambassador did take over Spock for a while, right?
Oh, is that
Diana Muldaur?
Yeah,
I don't know that. I'm just going based on Prodigy. I don't know the history.
Yeah, so watch is there in Truth No Beauty?
Truth No Beauty.
So the Medusans do have mental abilities to I guess impose themselves and basically possess you if they want to. Maybe you have to be willing to do it
to build a suit.
Yeah, did I don't remember. Spock might have even melded with him to facilitate that. I don't really recall, but so there is precedence there. Maybe they used some of that ability in the most benign way possible to get other people to get the materials together for them.
All right. That's I can accept that. That's fine.
Yeah, I like it. It might be going for the non-binary, or just for like people that don't seem to fit in any box. That might be a good character as a window in there. I thought it was cool. I thought it was like a robot with a magic 8-ball in it. I like the deep cut from Is There in Truth No Beauty? That was pretty cool. Something we haven't really seen except in that episode before 0, right?
Yeah. I don't think Medusans have
that
shown
character.
up.
You mean that species?
Species, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in a much better way than, other species showed up on Section 31. So that was the last real special we did. I know we were talking about Strange New Worlds, but we did do that strange.
What did we do?
Section 31 debacle.
Ah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I knew it was some.
Yeah.
I blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
And I feel like Zero's also is along with Gwen is the other character that's like mature.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, okay, let's take a minute, let's think this through. Yeah, I like 0.
It's strange for me to have like serious characters and comedic characters share the stage the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm too simple.
Well, I think that's good, because it's almost like watching Super Friends, and you get to see all the different superheroes together, and you like all of them to some degree, but there's your favorite right there.
Yeah.
So you have the one that you latch onto, and then when you can interact with the entire ensemble, I think that's pure 90s Trek right there.
Yeah.
In many ways. Just the dynamic. And yeah, I guess Zero is much more complex in the sense that the journey that they go through is trying to find that identity, trying to define themselves in a way that they feel comfortable. They had that whole arc where they got an organic body.
Oh yeah.
For a while. So that was pretty cool. So
and you also, since it's non-corporeal, you know, and because it seems more mature, you find out later that, you know, it's Zero is relatively a child of their species too. So it makes sense that they felt comfortable with these children, even though they seem so much more adult.
Were all the people on the mining place kids? Is that what it was? They were all like orphans or kidnapped kids, or were there adults on there too?
I think they were just slaves. So I think they were, you know, some were orphans, some were kids, some were adults, some were probably prisoners, some just got sold.
Did you hear the theory that these were like the descendants of, or the kids of, and people from that in the Delta Quadrant? Because I think this is in the Delta Quadrant, where the caretaker had brought them from, a lot of them from different parts of the galaxy.
No.
Yeah. No, that's why we have so many Federation aliens, or ones we're used to, even though it's out there. But I think they established it's in the Delta Quadrant because it starts off with the Kazon, which I was like, really, Kazon?
No, it's for sure in the Delta Quadrant, because that becomes a little bit problematic as the series goes on. They're a little bit too far out to do some of the traveling that they do that the plot needs when the series goes on. So being that whole Lost in Space, the Delta Quadrant being this expanse that we have to spend decades getting home, is kind of chucked to the wayside. And you don't even need the transwarp corridor to do it. You
got the third nipple or whatever it is, the third nacelle.
The nubbin. Albert Burge likes Jenkum Pog.
All right. He is probably a polarizing figure, but what do you guys think of Jason Mantzoukas?
I love him in everything. I really do.
Jason Mantzoukas, is that his name?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
He is hit or miss with me. He's like, I feel like it's kind of Jim Carrey in his heyday. Like, there's it's amusing up to a certain point, and then it's annoying. And if you have Jenkum Pog in an episode in the right dose, then it's fine. It's funny. But it is a delicate alchemy not to get too much Jenkum Pog.
So that's too much Mantzoukas. I mean, you're a huge B99 fan, John, and he had a nice recurring role on that. Did you like him on that?
Yeah, loved him, and because he's in doses, because he's not in every episode. Like if he was like in the shop with him, if you're like a member of the 99, like officially, I would not have, like, it's too much. But like, no, him showing up every now and then, him being a recurring character is fine. Same with the Good Place.
Yeah, I loved him in The Good Place.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He was the Janet.
Yeah, Janet's boyfriend or something.
Derek.
Yeah, yeah. He was great in that. And there was also another show he was on. It was a cop show where nothing happened. I think it was a Paramount Plus show, and it was just about the cops waiting for something to happen, but nothing ever happened.
The only other thing I've heard him in is Big Mouth. He was
Big Mouth. I like Big Mouth.
So
I did like Big Mouth. Yeah. Who did he play in Big Mouth? Oh, the monster or what?
No. He played the kid. I forget the name, but he was sort of like the poor kid that was, Kenny humping the pillow.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And at first he was dating Lola, and then he started dating Brad.
That was a great show. I ran out of action figures. Who else is in? Who else is it rounds out this cast?
Well, I mean, two that we haven't spoken about are Dreadnought made the main cast list on this, played by Jimmy Simpson. I didn't even consider Dreadnought as being a speaking main character because it's a robot. So like the robot stuff really kind of turns me off with this. That's what makes it like a generic cutscene for a video game to me. It's just, you know, inhabited by all these robots.
I disagree. I mean, I don't disagree with your opinion. Obviously, that's your opinion. But I disagree that, because I didn't remember later in the series, as the diviner becomes more prevalent, you know, it is, you know, it's kind of a henchman. He's just like just the henchman. And that's how I think of Dreadnought. But in these 2 episodes, he's kind of the main villain. He's you know, he's fairly menacing. And again, you put your hands together, you make a big gun. What's not to like?
Yeah, he looked pretty badass.
He looked pretty badass. He's got little crab spider feet. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest. Like, by all rights, he really should have killed Dahl. Like, there's no reason that Dahl should have survived that encounter.
Are you kidding? Yeah, no.
Spin the ship. Nah, that's not enough.
Was there any
before that
killing and death in this show? It's a kid show. That'd be a weird first episode of a kid show, right?
Not in this episode, but they do get there.
Okay.
Like, I think they, and that's why I couldn't remember if it was in this premiere or not. And I think it's actually might be like the season finale or the halfway point finale, whatever. But don't they aren't they about to like wipe out everybody on that asteroid? Like, wasn't that like the big climax of the confrontation? Was that they go back and the diviner's like, okay, we'll bring my ship back or I'm going to kill everybody here.
Quite frankly, I don't recall.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's say I'm right and not look it up.
All right. Sounds good.
I like it. Well, I mean, that brings us to the last character we haven't discussed. Denethor himself, John Noble.
The diviner.
If you're going to get, I guess, a big bad, you might as well get someone with the gravitas of John Noble.
Yeah. That was the other big name in this. Yeah.
So
I mean, yes, but in this, he's like, you know, he was like Thanos at the end of MCU. he's like I'll do it myself. Like that was it. It's just a bonus scene waiting for the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
What's really cool about John Noble is I spent about 45 minutes sitting with him one time. I was at a comic book, pop culture convention in Orlando, and I'm still very deficient in my Lord of the Rings nerd cred. It's like the one thing that I think I'm missing really is just my lack of knowledge of Lord of the Rings. So I knew he was there as a like a media guest for Lord of the Rings, but I didn't care because I had never watched Lord of the Rings at the time, and I'm still struggling to get through the first movie.
How long ago was this? Where was this?
Oh, this was so long ago. It was before the other show came out that I loved him in. What was that called?
Fringe.
Fringe, yes. It was before Fringe.
Yeah.
So, and once I became a big fan of Fringe, I was like, it was cool that I didn't care who he was because I got to just hang out with him and talk to him because I literally didn't care. But now looking back, I would have freaked out and been like geek fanboy, obviously. But he's just a nice guy, nice gentleman.
Okay. There's
Fringe.
Albie's John Noble story.
That's my John Noble story. I hung out with him before I cared or knew who he was. I knew he was somebody, but I didn't care. But now I care.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool guy.
Did we like Fringe? I fell off of Fringe after a few episodes. It just
really
it didn't grab me.
Fringe is great.
Really. I love the whole thing.
I love the whole thing.
Yeah. That's where I get from. I tell Rennie all the time that she's my favorite thing, my absolute favorite thing.
It got like you kind of had to like really pay attention like the last couple of seasons. Like, okay, now which universe are we in? Now who is this? Now what is that? The red strings on the board.
Oh yeah, and Leonard Nimoy, Chris. Leonard Nimoy's in it.
Yeah, I know. I think I watched the Leonard. I watched one of the Leonard. I want to say no. George wasn't in it. George was in Resident Alien. But I did watch it for that, and I don't know, just it didn't grab me. That's still when it was airing, like when it was on the network. If I could watch it maybe in a streaming environment now, I would most likely change my mind because it's much easier to give things a chance when you can go back to back to back to back to back instead of forgetting about it for a week and saying, did I like this? Oh, no, I didn't think
Yeah.
So you can build a critical mass a little bit more now.
It is definitely streaming. I can't remember which.
It's got to be somewhere.
But
it's
somewhere.
For me, I loved it. It was I love alternate realities. I love all that stuff. And when I saw like the blimps in New York City, I thought that was so cool. And it had that thing going on with Lost where they put like different secret stuff in there, and you had to decode it and be part of the online community to figure out what the hell was going on.
Cool.
And he was good in it. Yeah. So that's Prodigy. Any other thoughts before we talk about if we like these 2 episodes?
Well, I mean, we still have to do our episode Crush. I know that you like to do those for the cartoons. Yeah.
Was there an adult female in this episode? I don't know.
Say,
I guess Janeway. I'm going to have to go with Janeway.
I mean, all right, Crush, again, it doesn't mean like you're attracted to them, right? I'm going to make
right.
sure.
It could just be like, I like them. They're cool.
Then.
Yeah, I just make it dirty.
In the most platonic, admiration-based way, Gwen is my crush for these 2 episodes.
She's good.
She's cool. She's a badass.
Yeah.
And again, she's super. She's probably the smartest person there, and the best fighter there, and the most character depth so far. So, like, I mean, yeah, she's my pick.
Chris,
next question.
Yeah, I like Gwen, and I like the relationship between Gwen and Dal. It kind of reminds me of maybe King of Queens or Kevin Can F Himself, where you have this like idiot and this intelligent person, and they shouldn't be together, but it kind of works. Okay. Favorite part of the episode, Chris? Favorite part of the episode?
Favorite part of the episode was probably the final chase scene when the protostar was escaping the planet. I really liked the fight on the hull. And like you said, John, Dal should have died a million times over. But just the fact that they're sort of like almost going to warp with somebody out on the hull of the ship. I don't think I'd ever seen that in Star Trek before. So I know that we did see people go between ships while they were in warp on Enterprise. But I don't think that we ever saw somebody just stuck out on the main hull as the ship is preparing to go to warp.
At that point, until Disco, when they were surfing on the ship.
Oh, right. Did Disco do that?
Yeah, Disco.
You know what? Disco. And we're not live, but still. You know, Jesus Christ, Disco.
Yeah. John, the beautiful John Irons, favorite part of the first 2 episodes. Lost and Found.
You know what? It's part of that same sequence, I think. But yeah, it's all part. So yeah, Dal's out on the hull, and this actually, I guess it was right before that, because when they were fighting Gwen, and like everybody was fighting Gwen, and they were losing, like because she's a badass, and you see the what do you call it?
What do they call that?
That Magitech sword that she had on her wrist.
Yes, the nanotech. But I can't remember. It's like the item, the heirloom.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It's her heirloom.
And you see that in action for the first time.
Quite unlike the heirloom that John Noble was eating in The Return of the King. Anyway.
Spoilers. I'm not there yet. It's only 30 years old, right?
Point to Chris. Nice job. That was good.
So, how about you, Albie? What was your favorite part of the episode?
Like visually, well, I'll say 3 different things. Like you mentioned earlier, the voice work is amazing. Just the whole sound design, everything. This could be a great audio drama. Like it has with the music and the voice work and the special sound effects. It just sounds amazing. Visually, I really like that shot where they were like flying under a waterfall. I thought that was really cool. Something I don't remember seeing in Star Trek before. But I think for this first episode, 2 episodes, I think my favorite part was just like the Rock Talk, who Rock Talk is, because often I feel like the person I am on the outside doesn't match who I am on the inside, and I kind of connected with that.
Cool. All right. Any 47s?
Probably, I didn't notice
I don't know. I still don't know why we keep that question on here.
because it's fun.
What is it supposed to look for 47s? I never looked for 47s.
Yeah, Star Trek is infamous for having the number 47 hidden everywhere.
No, well, next gen Trek is
Yeah,
is 90s Trek.
Voyager definitely.
So
Deep Space Nine probably.
I would have looked. I'm sorry.
What's next, Chris? What's next? on our
I
sheet?
want you, unless you can't, or I can. John is never here, and
So it's his turn.
He is a casual fan, so we might have some real drama here.
We got you for 3 questions.
Trivia.
All right.
All right.
There's one thing I love doing is going on someone else's podcast and asking questions about a show that's not I'm not super familiar with. Let's hit it. Let's do
If
it.
I started singing in I Am Groot, do you think you'd have a better chance?
I would probably have an equal chance.
An inside joke I'm not
I
familiar
am
with.
Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot.
Yeah, stay tuned
I am
for
Groot.
the Quantum Leap trivia extravaganza
Hmm.
from my Dave Corman Productions.
Corman Productions Deep Dive TV Podcast, Al's Place.
Yes.
All right. I feel like we read this one already, Albie, so I'm going to
Throw it out.
Away.
Try
throw it
again.
away.
If you feel it, we probably did.
I'm probably
Yeah.
still not going to get it if that matters.
Yeah, I know, but it's cool. Okay, here we go. So, in the motion picture Star Trek Generations, what device is installed into Data?
Oh, is that the emotion chip?
Ding, 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 ding,
Ding, ding,
ding.
ding, ding,
John
ding,
has
ding.
1 out of 3 so far.
1 out of 3.
I was like,
2 more.
It's the only thing I can think of that's ever got installed into Data. So yeah, cool.
Well, and Data was installed to a couple other things.
Yeah.
All right. This is, hello. He's fully functional.
Hello. Fully functional.
It never happened. In the Voyager episode Dreadnought, who, while serving in the Maquis back in the Alpha Quadrant, reprogrammed an advanced Cardassian AI missile?
Okay. So there are 2 regular characters that I know who are Marquis, and there was the one that was like the traitor lady who ended up being like a big traitor lady,
Seska.
Seska.
Spoilers.
I'm going to. Can I give you 2 options, and if one of them's on, all right. I'm gonna say it's not Seska, even though I think it might be Seska.
Not Seska.
Then the other 2 Maquis are you got Chakotay and you've got B'Elanna. B'Elanna?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say B'Elanna because she's an engineer.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding. 2 out of 3.
3.
Man, you are like the trivia king, Captain Game Show himself. Wow.
Okay.
Captain
One more
Game
question.
Show. We're Game Show and Captain Game Show. To what Western did Gene Roddenberry compare Star Trek in his pitch for the original series?
Oh, I know this is Wagon Train, right?
Yep. Wagon
Ding, ding,
Train
ding,
to
ding,
the
ding, ding.
Stars.
3 out of 3.
All right.
Look at you, John. You're
You're a
not as
genius.
casual as you thought. I never would have gotten B'Elanna.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I probably would have said Tuvok, but he probably wouldn't have done that because he was undercover. I don't
What's
know.
that episode, Warhead? I hate
Yeah,
that episode only for one reason. It's got like a loud screeching sound and like alarms blaring, and like when I'm sleeping to Voyager on, it always wakes me up. So I
Okay.
try to start
If-
my
if-
watch after
If
that
the
episode.
clue hadn't said Maquis, then I wouldn't have gotten it.
Good
Gotcha.
job, though.
Gotcha.
But you know Seska, you know stuff. So that's
Again, like if you somewhere, I watched the first 2 or 3 seasons. So if it happened in the first 2 or 3 seasons, I may remember it.
It's
Finish it.
swimming around up there.
Yeah,
four is better. 4, 5, 6, 7. Good stuff.
that's what I hear. And I consider myself a general practitioner nerd. I'll know a little bit about all of the geekery, but I won't know a ton about most of it.
Huh. Well, congratulations, John Irons. You did better than I did the last time I did trivia, so
Same.
you got that going for you. We'll
Thank
send you a plaque.
Good job, John.
I'm going to wait for harder than mine, but I will take
Oh,
it.
speaking of, thanks for the lip balm. I loved it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, mine is over there on the desk. But thank you.
I'm glad-
Is that commercially available? Can people get official Captain Game Show merch?
You know what? If someone wants to pay me for Captain Game Show lip balm, I will send them Captain Game Show lip balm.
All right,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.john.irons at gmail.com.
You know, you can email me at captaingameshow@gmail.com.
All right.
There you go.
5 flavors.
No problem.
5 flavors,
What did
no
I get?
waiting.
Like a vanilla? Mine was like a vanilla something.
There's vanilla, there's mint, there's coconut, there's strawberry, and there's cherry. Each one comes with its own inspirational haiku. Each
I
flavor.
did not read mine.
You can't now.
I
You're
should read
blind.
mine. That's true.
Trick and tell. John,
Trick and
what's
tell.
your
Who's got a trick and tell?
tell? I have one. John, you got one?
Does it have to be Star Trek related?
You can do anything you want out here, John.
Write the name.
Then you go first, and yeah, I've got one.
Okay. Albie, do you remember your trick and tell last week?
No.
You don't.
Oh, yes, the books.
It was the photo novels, right? There we go. John, are you familiar with those?
No.
They're like Neek's recaps before Neek was doing her recaps. Yeah, they would take stills from the episodes and put like little word balloons over them, and they would be basically a book form of the episode.
That's really cool.
Yeah. See? So
That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, and this before Photoshop. So, some poor schmuck was like getting pictures and cutting them and pasting them and, just anyway. So I was at my local bookstore on Saturday last, and I was just going through their science fiction section. And lo and behold, I never see these. I found not a photo novel, but it was one of the first series of Star Trek original novels, not from pocketbooks, but from Bantam. These came out in the 70s, even before the motion picture came out. And this has first, for those who are listening, not seeing it on the screen, on the YouTube, it's a book called Vulcan with an exclamation point by Kathleen Sky. It's touted as a new Star Trek experience. Introduction by David Gerald, author of The Troubled Tribbles, and a mind-dazzling adventure based on the award-winning television series created by Gene Roddenberry. What awards did Star Trek win at that time? I don't think they won any.
Did they?
Maybe a Hugo?
Probably Hugo. Maybe something for like costume or like special effects. Maybe. So
this book, if you want to look inside, belonged to Victor Muslin. So Victor, if you're watching, I don't know if my camera is really focusing on that, but it says Victor Muslin, 12/19/80, New York. So this was Victor's book. Thank you, Victor, for getting. So I've been reading this book, and it's pretty damn terrible. I mean, it's kind of awful.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if the title is Vulcan with an exclamation point, like, legendarily unexcitable species. Like, I feel like a Vulcan with a period.
Yeah, no exclamation point.
Right.
No exclamation.
I read it as Vulcan. Who can
actually
Vulcan?
Do you see that Spock is with a babe here, right, on the cover?
Sure.
Yeah, who's the babe? Do we know her?
Fighting ants. In the book, this is the main protagonist or antagonist. She is a character named Catalia Tremaine. And she comes on as a special envoy to go talk to some bug people on a planet to see if they're sentient or not. But she gets onto the Enterprise, and Spock is in the transporter room, and she pitches a fit. I will never ship out with a Vulcan. I hate Vulcans. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. So I think this is her saying Vulcan. That's how I look at it.
Racism has no place in the transporter room.
That's true. And they talk about that at length. So what's great about this book is McCoy is like a dog. Like, he is just at his grossest because he is just like using his position as doctor to get close to her so that he can ingratiate himself into her good graces
and creepy.
and hopefully maybe bang her. And
I thought you said this wasn't good. This is intriguing.
It's getting better because, and the other thing is what really made me, and it was so, I'm thinking a woman wrote this, but it's so original series. This woman has like some fits in the beginning of this book that make Janice Lester look even keeled. And it turns out, as far as I've gotten, I was reading on Saturday morning. I guess I got this too. No, Sunday morning I was reading it. Turns out she uses that as a ruse. She uses that to put people
Ah.
off guard so that she doesn't have to answer questions she doesn't want to, and she doesn't like to close to anybody. So I have a feeling this book might have a little bit more to offer because it is so original series. Kirk is pissed off about everything. Spock just finds the fact that she's a racist fascinating. He wants to just observe like why she's such a jerk. And she is smarter than anybody in the room because she's using the tropes of like that 60s hysterical female to her advantage so that she can manipulate everybody in the room.
I gotta say, this doesn't sound terrible.
Right. So it might get great.
Bad.
It might get great.
Okay.
I don't know. But the thing that excited me about this, Albie, is they also
That
list,
it wasn't Imzadi.
right, that. And also it's much shorter than Imzadi.
Okay.
And in the beginning, they have like list of the different books that are in this Bantam series, and down bottom, they have a list of all those photo novels. So the second I opened this book, I saw those and I thought of you and I said, I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
How many are there? I have 3. How many are there?
They list 11 here. That doesn't mean that there are only 11. I mean, maybe there were only 11 up to that point. You know,
These are perfect for the toilet. They really are. I'm just saying.
okay, there you go. And this is actually a second printing, it says. So this came out in 78. This was 78. David was very heavily involved in it. He writes a nice forward. And yeah, it was just a little find. You know, you go to the bookstore and you're just kind of browsing. You don't know what you want, if you want anything. And you come across this. And another day I might have seen this and just passed it right by. But having spoken to you during the Section 31 show with the Trek and Tell you gave, inspired me to get this and to actually see what these novels are like, because I only am familiar with the authors in the Pocketbook series. And I read all those from number 1 all the way through. I think I petered out somewhere in the 50s or the 60s. So it's nice. This is also a snapshot of fandom at the time, because the only thing they had at the time was the original series and the animated series to go on.
I think this is a Bantam. Is it?
Perry's Planet. No, look at the D show on the spine. What is it?
Yeah, it says Bantam.
Okay, yeah. So let's see. Mud's Angels is one. The Planet of Judgment is another. The Price of the Phoenix, Spock Messiah, Spock Must Die, and then all of the James Blish collections. I have one of those hard books. New Voyages, Star Trek Lives, Official Star Trek Cooking Manual, Vulcan by Kathleen Sky, and that's the last one listed. So look in there. Does that one have the list of novels? That probably came out after Vulcan. Is Vulcan listed in there?
I'm looking. Vamp while I look.
So, John, did you ever read any? I know you're only a casual fan, but did you ever read any of Star Trek fiction?
I read one, and I don't remember what it was called.
Describe it. I might be able to tell you.
It was Next Generation.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I don't remember what the plot was. I just remember I read it. It was fine. It wasn't. I didn't blow my socks off. It was fine.
All right, we got Perry's Planet, Star Trek New Voyages, World Without End, Star Trek New Voyages 2, Spock Must Die, Death's Angel, Vulcan.
Yeah. So
Fate of the Phoenix and Price of the Phoenix.
Okay, so I have the Price of the Phoenix is on here, so not Fate of the Phoenix. So that one actually probably came out after Vulcan. Vulcan.
Very cool. So when you're reading a book and it's bad, do you always finish it, or do you chuck it?
It depends. I'll finish this one because it's starting to intrigue me all of a sudden. I have a rule now. I used to just finish it because there were a couple of books when I was younger that I forced myself to get through, and then at the end they turned out to be freaking amazing, and I ran out to get the sequel that night. Like his border's still open. Let me go get the sequel to this book. So I had a rule where if I start a book, I'm going to finish it. But I'm 1,000 years old now, and I have so many books and so little time. If you don't have me by page 100, I give the book away.
Burgess Meredith over there.
Yeah. So
very cool. Yeah. I've a lot of things with me lately have been like that. Cause when I had 70 years left, I would just, invest the time. Now I got about 10. If I'm lucky, I'm out quicker. Maybe that's why I didn't finish Lord of the Rings. What for Trek and Tell? Should John go next or me? It's up to you guys.
John, you ready?
Didn't you do the photos? Oh, was that's an
The
old
photo that was last week.
Okay,
That's what inspired me to pick this book up.
I was just referencing it.
Then I will go next because
cool.
By sheer coincidence, my thing is kind of in the Venn diagram of your two things. So it's not quite a photo book. And you did mention Nick Yeager, but it is a book. It is Nick's book.
Where did you?
Oh,
I have been
wow.
trying to find that on Amazon. I can't find the link for it.
I'll send you the link.
Please.
So Nick Yeager wrote, illustrated, created her own graphic novel.
Is that named Fully Charged?
It is named Fully Charged. Is it backwards for you? Can you see it?
That's just a weird coincidence. The screenplay I wrote is named Fully Charged.
I'm going to guess it's probably a dissimilar plot.
Mine is about pro wrestlers that get stuck in a house getting attacked by a serial killer.
No, this is about a girl who has electrical powers coming to age and discovering her body. So be aware this is rated M for mature.
Okay. You know, it's funny because I wrote a story called Fully Charged.
No, come on.
It's my
really?
It's my fanfic sequel to Maximum Overdrive set in the 21st century with electric cars.
I feel like
that is crazy.
Two truths and a lie. I'm calling shenanigans.
At the end of my screenplay, she's got a battery strapped to her back, and she did some electronic stuff to make it deadly. And she's got jumper cables, and that's how she attacks the killer.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it is good. It is very good.
So awesome. Go Neek, go.
Oh, and the whole thing of the plot of the film was they only got killed by the serial killer when their phone battery ran out.
Okay.
So it was each one had an individual ticking clock.
But they couldn't recharge their phone?
No, the power was out, and they were locked in.
And they got a bad. Yeah, it's a bad percent. I'm not in a good percent.
Towards the end, they were trying to take power from each other and stuff, and then the battery. Anyway, I just gave away my whole script.
There you go.
But,
no, that's the elevator pitch. I'm into it.
Yeah, that's the elevator pitch. But I was going to cast all the pro wrestlers I know because they're all always game for everything.
Cool.
So this is my Trek and Tell.
Okay.
Star Trek Prodigy, the Nintendo Switch game.
Oh, is it the game?
Yeah.
Huh.
They put a game out for this.
I mean, it just basically looks like a computer game anyway, so makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked a lot like the show, just a little less, polished.
Ironically, the graphics on the computer game were better than the graphics on the series.
So mean.
And it was okay. It's okay game. Serenity and I were excited to start it, and we played it probably 3 or 4 days in a row, and we never finished it because it was very repetitive and very the same puzzle over and over again, the same actions over and over again. I have no idea how it ends.
But
I bought it.
That is a common downfall of movie or TV show to game translations. Yeah. It's like they just,
But I supported Star Trek.
Yeah.
As I do.
And Nintendo.
Very cool.
Good.
I guess. Yeah, I think it came out on other platforms later, but that was the one that came out first that I pre-ordered.
Oh, groovy.
Right. So now what? We talk about wrap up and final ratings and all that stuff?
Final thoughts and ratings.
I'll go first because you guys probably will do better than me if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me it was just all right. It was just all right, dog. It wasn't my thing. Just talking about the first 2 episodes, talking about the first part of the first season. I didn't get it, and I was disappointed, but I was very happy that Rennie enjoyed it, and that she was watching Star Trek, so that made me happy. But overall, I was disappointed by these 2 episodes. I think I built it up too much in my mind. Rewatching them and knowing what comes later, I think I was able to enjoy them more. I would have gave it 2, but because Kate Mulgrew, Catherine Janeway shows up in the final seconds, I'm going to give it another point, and I'm going to give it 3 honey lychees, which are those little berries on the desk.
Out of 5.
Right.
3 honey lychees
out of 5. 3 out of 5.
John, your final thoughts on Prodigy, season 1, episode 1 and 2, Lost and Found?
I didn't build up a lot of expectation in my in my mind going into this, so I think if anything, my expectations were probably low. I thought it was fine. I thought, again, like trying to put myself in the mindset of seeing it for the first time. They plant a lot of seeds that are intriguing. Like, not if I didn't know where the series was going, I would be interested enough because Janeway shows up, because I've got the ship, because the characters are interesting enough. I'd be interested enough. I would keep watching, which in fact I did. Yeah, it wasn't amazing, but it was good enough. It was pretty good. It was entertaining. I would also give it 3. I would give it 3 nanotech pokey heirlooms.
Okay. And yeah, usually when a new Star Trek series comes on, there's some kind of brouhaha, like it's the first to do this, it's the first to do that. Say what you will about Discovery, but it was like a vanguard series for the Paramount Plus network to kick off a streaming service. Next Gen kicked off the entire wave of 90s first run syndication. Star Trek has always been kind of a forging a path where none have gone before, boldly going, right? I think that this, when it comes down to it, what most disappointed me about it was that it was not so boldly going where Star Wars had been for years. It was just their version of a Star Wars type cartoon. So that predisposed me to be not against it, but I didn't expect to enjoy it. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Mad, just disappointed. Said you weren't mad, just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in Star Trek. But yeah, I'm not a dad, so I don't do that. I know that's probably the worst. Like the worst thing you could say to your kid. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm saving it. I haven't used it yet. I definitely could have a few times, but I'm saving it.
And it really is genuine. Like I used it once, but it was absolutely true.
Well, it's like heartbreaking. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry, Prodigy. I'm sorry I said that about you. No, I mean, but that being said, once I got over the fact that, okay, yeah, they're trying to tap into this pre-existing audience that likes this kind of stuff, I found the character work surprisingly solid. I found the plot surprisingly coherent. I found it much more entertaining than I thought it would have any right to be. So that being said, it's still a kid's cartoon. And it's still a heavy lift for me to invest my time in something like that. So just like all of you guys, I'm going to give it 3, but in my case, heirloom tomatoes for the memory of Denethor out of 5 for this episode of Prodigy. And for all of you out there who are listening or watching us, please tell us what you think about this episode of Prodigy. Do you give it 3 out of 5? Do you give it more? Are you a diehard Voyager fan who thinks that this was the second coming of your favorite show? I kind of wish Neek was on with this so we could talk about that a little bit more, but maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll have her the next time we do a Prodigy episode. You can tell us what you think about all of this right here on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@Treksploration. Go down below.
3 comments.
In the comments, tell us what you think. You can also visit us on our Patreon site. That's patreon.com/Treksploration. You can comment there, join the community there for free, or you can support us. Many different tiers. You can
give us money.
That cheddar. Give us that cheddar. You can find us on Instagram at Treksploration Pod. You can get us on Blue Sky. That's at Treksploration on Blue Sky social. Email us treksplorationpod@gmail.com. Buy us a coffee with a one-time donation. That's buymeacoffee.com/Treksploration.
Omnipotent Willard did.
Omnipotent Willard did it. And you can also send us whatever you would like to the P.O. Box. That's P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York 11705. Just remember, any comments that you give us will likely be used on upcoming episodes of Treksploration. And speaking of upcoming episodes, Albie, what are we doing next?
We are doing Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 20, Heart of Glory. Klingons. They were not frisked before they went in that brig.
Oh, man. Is this one with funky shoes, funky Klingon boots?
Yep, the funky boots that turn into like a
Spoilers.
Oh, spoilers. There's Klingons with bad makeup.
I love it.
But not as bad as the original series. But yeah, that's all I remember of it. And
So we'll be talking about that, and our next bonus recap. I feel like we've gone full circle. I think it's time to go back. Is it finally
time?
It's time to go back.
I can't wait.
To where no man has gone before, the original series, season 1, episode 2. I don't think that unless we're going to do Picard, but you say we can't do Picard because you think that we have to do that after we do next gen.
It's next gen, really, especially season 3 of Picard, season 8 of next gen.
Understood.
I'm of many minds because we're taking longer to do these than I thought we would.
Oh, much, yeah. Well, I mean, we have to.
So
stop.
I'm like,
we have to stop getting sick.
Do we? Yeah. I had a couple of thoughts of like, do we just do the episodes we like? But that would kind of be boring, right? Because everybody likes those episodes. Probably.
Yeah, no. I mean, we got to go through at least one series completely. I mean, if you never want to do another Prodigy show, I'm happy to accommodate you on that score.
I thought that was implied.
Yeah. But if you're asking me if I want to talk about season 1 of Picard or the second episode of the TOS, you know where my heart lies.
Yeah, I would love to talk about TOS 3 times a week, but that's me. Prodigy, I don't know. I was dreading watching it, really dreading watching it, but I was happy I did afterwards. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about where no man has gone before. Kirk and Spock and Valor playing 3D chess. Come on.
I love it. Smiley Spock. Still Smiley Spock in that one.
Smiley Spock.
With the Mandarin collar and all that stuff. Maybe not Mandarin. It's more like a turtleneck.
All right.
More like
John
a mock
Irons.
turtleneck.
Tell people, or Dickie. John Irons. Tell people where they can find you and also who may or may not be you. I don't know. Captain Game Show.
Okay. You can find me guesting on random episodes of podcasts. Just ask around. As far as where you can consistently find me, you can find me hosting. I am the creator, host, writer, editor, producer, debutante,
showrunner,
chief cook and bottle washer.
Yeah. Guest booker. Apparently,
I'm the podcast auteur that has brought Captain Game Show into being. I am not, for the record, I am not Captain Game Show. Captain Game Show is just a show.
Different person, yeah.
Absolutely different, a whole different thing.
We never see them in the same room at the same time.
Or do you?
And they're both beautiful, so I don't know.
I'm going to have you on the show, Albie. But you can find episodes. You can find episodes of Captain Game Show on CaptainGameShow.com. Have a website now. You can actually search for games that you like, and it'll show you all the episodes that have that game. You can search for guests that you like, and it'll show you every episode that has those guests. Albie, any day now, promise.
Can I make a request, John?
Of course.
Can you put a little feature on the site that just bunches all of the clues for the different seasons of the hidden game, so I don't have to go through and miss them and wonder, okay, what am I missing? What didn't I do? No, you son of a...
No. But you can do a search for hidden game, and it'll give you all the season finale episodes that give you the clues. But of course, all of the clues that the season finale episodes reference are sprinkled throughout the entire season. So have fun.
That sounds like fun. Am I the only person to receive Captain Game Show merch without having been on the show?
No.
Oh, okay.
There is one other person. And actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to find her name.
At least you know my name.
Well, it's because I don't want to like. Well, okay, just another friend from grade school or high school, actually. Wait, what's happening with my? All right, there it is.
That's Rachel. So Rachel, if you too had a crush on the
exactly,
it's not Rachel.
And how could you not contact him at CaptainGameShow@gmail.com?
It's actually her name is Shannon Chappell. And I think, we went to high school together. I think her name now is like Shannon Chappell Sullivan. And she's never been on the show.
You just thought she had dry lips.
No, here's the thing. From episode 1, from day 1, and it's not like we were super close in school or anything. But from the time I first started putting out Captain Game Show episodes. She has always liked it. She often will share it. It's not like she like writes in or anything. She's just been a constant supporter through the 8 years of the show or 5 years of the show.
8 years.
Is it 2016? So how long is that? Is that right? 7 years.
8 years.
It's 2025. 2016 is 9 years.
Oh my God. Oh.
So for your decade special, I might be on.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, that wasn't a whatever to you. But yeah, 9 years. Like she's always been a supporter. So I sent my customized Captain Game Show chapstick game show to people who've been on the shows, to people who and to her. I think
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got the mail when I did, because it's so hot here that it would have melted if I didn't.
That was my thinking. I was inspired when, I guess it was like a month or two ago, when like the whole country was like in blizzard territory. I was like, oh, you know what would be good?
I ordered vegan chocolate for Valentine's Day for Rennie one year, and it melted in the mailbox.
Oh.
So I had to
I was actually also
contact them, and they sent me some in dry ice.
I was also inspired by your gift, your holiday gift of my little pop-out enterprise. I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Send gifts to friends around the holidays. Why not?
Why not? Little something. Little something. Costs nothing. Little something.
So cute.
Mine's on my tree still. I haven't taken my tree down.
It's time, man. It's time. We all got it.
It's time.
If it came from you.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our episode on Prodigy, season 1, episode 1 and 2, Lost and Found.
Thank you again, John.
It's weird that they didn't name episode 1 Lost and episode 2 Found, and they just instead named it.
They should have
Lost and
right?
Found 1 and 2. I'm like, it's a missed opportunity.
My thought is part 1 was just so nothing, like a nothing sandwich, that they had to do 1 and 2, so you didn't just like stop watching after that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the premiere. Like, it's going to be at least 2 episodes anyway.
Didn't they do something like half of it was on Paramount Plus and the other half was on TV? Or
no, that was Disco debacle. Anyway, we've spoken about Prodigy quite enough. Everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Treksploration. Until next time, I've been Christopher D. Philippus.
I'm Albie.
I've been John Irons. Wait, I should say that more confidently. I am John Irons.
and Captain Game Show. And we'll see you next time.
I wasn't unclear about it.
Watch it all night, we're ready for a ride. Check it to come side by side. Feel the rhythm as we move to the beat. And we're World Podcast with King Albie. Sideways flowing, we set the stage. Listen, Albie Blue Willows from every age. Captain Charles, get ready to the cosmic tide. Get our militant look. Time to ride.